This is Paul Dorsey, Brighton fan. You're listening to the Drunkard United Football Show. Arsenal fans need not apply.
You know, Sammy, it doesn't matter that your team both lost both your games. Why? Because Footy's back.
Well, the first one I would agree with you. The second one still pisses me the fuck off.
Doesn't matter that Mel screwed up the opening again. Why? Because Footy's back. It doesn't matter if we both missed our bets. Why?
Because the Footy's back.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. Right day, the fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of Malort. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way is my co-host, the desperate, the hurting, Samuel Graham. Sam, how you doing?
Desperate and hurting, actually. We don't have very much time there to make up the money I've lost.
No.
Nope.
And Arsenal no do so good this week.
No do so good.
No, not at all.
Not
one
a chance. It's Arsenal being Arsenal, to be honest with you.
Don't worry, we're dedicating an entire segment to it. We're recording at Studio H, just outside our nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, because that certainly helps us with Apple Podcasts for certain. And most importantly, share with one of your footballing friends. Hell, just a friend who enjoys two drunk idiots saying fuck a lot.
Yep.
Send them along too. We can be witty, I guess, right? We did it for, or at least tried to, for 3 months with no footy.
With nothing else to fucking talk about? Yeah.
So, should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Sammy, why don't you tell the good people how they can get in touch?
Of course. We are at DUfootballshow on all of your social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then we are DUfootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
Lovely. And we did get some emails this week, which is nice.
We did. We also had some social media interaction
Excellent.
that I
love
want to get to real quick.
Oh, please go right ahead.
Because I thought it was a very good question. Mr. Justin, in one of the groups that we belong to, the Great Debate Sports Talk.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's Jeff's group.
Jeff Whipple's group.
Not normally a footy kind of group. We talk a lot more.
Definitely not a footy-centric group.
Yeah, talk a lot more NBA, NFL, and a little bit of Major League Baseball. But it's a fun shit-talking group. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But Mr. Justin here said, can a soccer fan please explain why some teams don't start their best players? I'm thirsty for daily fantasy action, and watching matches this weekend, I've noticed two teams not start their best players. This particular circumstance with COVID and just coming back, where the timing of the season is and contracts and that kind of stuff, there's a big issue with if a player's contract is about to expire due to the end of the season, they may not want to play and then get hurt.
Right. Yep.
Scupper a potential move in the summer. There's rotation. The games are coming thick and fast. So there is squad rotation in a lot of cases. Now, granted, this weekend was for most teams their first time out in 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Player might not be mentally prepared. Player might not have been training well. Player may have came back to training late, depending on how his test came back with COVID.
In the case of the big one, which was Mo Salah, he had picked up a small knock during the week. Probably something that most players could probably play through, but why risk it? The Derby was the Merseyside Derby was not going to decide the title. So why bother putting your best guy out there if he's not necessarily 100% after 3 months? You could risk the injury.
Right. Well, exactly that. The other thing is just, working out in general. If you feel a little bit of a knock, you might be able to run a quick mile or do something like that just to stay active. But would you necessarily put yourself through a 2-hour grueling workout? while you have that knock and risk a further, potential month and a half, 2 month, 3 month layoff. No.
Right.
So that's kind of what it is. That's why he came on for 15 minutes at the end or 20 minutes, whatever.
He didn't come on at all. He was supposed to. It was Matip got hurt. Lovren came on.
Oh, that's
and
right.
That stopped him from coming on. So
you are right.
But we'll get to that in the first segment, anyways.
But that's the general consensus. Is this most players in this situation would start had this been back in March, when they were due to be played. But because of where we are, based on where the transfer window is going to fall, those sorts of things, you have contracts to worry about. You have a congested fixture list to worry about. And so that squad rotation and that keeping players fit so you can sell them in the summer are two deciding factors.
And, let it be known, casual fans that are just starting to get into the Premier League, when you're listening to our pod, no, we're not going to talk down to you. We're not going to talk over your head. We'll feel free to ask those questions. We like to hear them. And our point of view is the more people you can get into footy, the better. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirits industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink on our hand throughout this show and every show. We are doing cucumber on cucumber on cucumber on cucumber. Sammy, tell us what we're drinking tonight.
Yes, so we've got another G&T because we like to binge things when we do them. Hendricks Gin this time, 88 proof. This is an old classic here. Distilled specifically to tone down the juniper so they can highlight the other botanicals. In particular, there are 12 different botanicals that go into this, but it's also infused with the essence of cucumber and rose. So the water they cut it down to proof with is soaked with cucumber and rose petal. So they are not dominant flavors, but they definitely have the gin itself definitely has the undertone of cucumber and a little bit of florality to it. With this G&T, we've used the Bitter Truth bitters, cucumber bitters, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And then the Fever Tree cucumber tonic water. Mm-hmm. So cucumber upon cucumber upon cucumber. And in doing so, really draws out the cucumber in the gin as well.
And also, what did we garnish it with?
Cucumbers.
Yes. And we put fresh cucumbers in it, too.
Right. And if you don't know us, if you're just checking us out for the first time, it looks like we're just having cucumber water at a spa.
Instead, it's loaded full of booze.
I'm in love with this drink.
That's fantastic.
I love cucumber.
Especially because it's been so hot and humid
Oh my gosh.
the last few days. So refreshing.
It is. I honestly don't taste the gin. Like, I hate it when people go, oh, I don't like gin. No, honey, you haven't had gin the right way.
Right.
Or in the right combinations. But gin
And
can be lovely and interesting.
Juniper is a very difficult flavor to enjoy. So when you find some of these craft gins, which Hendricks basically invented that category.
Oh, absolutely.
If you find some of these craft gins where the juniper is toned way down, you'll find it's a very enjoyable, very versatile spirit to work with in making cocktails.
If this pod isn't up before 9 a.m. tomorrow, it's because of the gin.
Because of the gin? Well, that halted an entire country's progress economically for about 15 years or so. Yeah. Quickly, I also did want to mention that it will fall if you find a store that buys on deep discount and Bridges. You can find a feature price for $29.99, but it can be found all the way up to $39.99 also for the same 750 milliliter.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Well, kids, let's have a great show.
Let's do it to it, guys. That was kind of lame. That's better. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start the show real quick. Mel, if you could play my music there for a new segment.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck?
I'm calling it Calling Out Cunts.
Okay.
I want to do this now because I want to take a page out of Ben Mee's book.
Got it.
We saw a banner flown over the Burnley-Manchester City game right after the start of the game, just after the players took their knee, which said, "All lives matter, comma, Burnley." Seemingly coming from...
I figured you'd appreciate this with it.
I do appreciate that. So, thank you, Molyneux.
No, that's actually Villa.
Oh, that was Villa saying that.
Yeah,
one.
fuck
Oh, yeah, fuck VAR
is
was
the
the Molyneux.
Molyneux.
Yeah. But anyway, Ben Mee, instead of, when he spoke to reporters afterwards, instead of talking about the game and answering their questions, all he did was bring attention to how abhorrent that display of blatant racism was. Okay? And I want to reiterate how abhorrent that is. There is a very obvious inequality systemically in the United States and abroad, and in those systems, including the police department, and the way they interact with black people. The Black Lives Matter movement is drawing attention to the inequality and brutality that subset of quote-unquote all lives faces. Saying all lives matter or white lives matter as a rebuttal to Black Lives Matter is racist. Saying that is trying to quiet down, drown out, or downplay the importance of gaining equality in justice, in policing, in education, in finance, and in fucking life in general. If you are a, quote, all lives matter person, listen to your words. Black lives are a part of all lives. And if that group is unfairly targeted or profiled, then all lives don't fucking matter, do they? Saying this phrase as a response to Black Lives Matter shows you don't actually get it, or at this point, even want to get it, making you a fucking racist. Saying white lives matter, well, that's obvious as an evidenced by white privilege. Saying this as a response to Black Lives Matter shows you don't give a fuck about black lives at all, and therefore are a racist cunt. White privilege doesn't mean that you didn't overcome obstacles or hardships. It simply means you didn't have to contend with your skin color being one of those obstacles or hardships. If at this point you are failing to understand any of this, you are willful in your ignorance and complicit with continuing the status quo and are therefore, in my opinion, racist bastards. If you are listening to this, we vehemently retract our opening lines. If you fall into these groups, please unsubscribe, don't rate, don't review, don't email, and in the words of Seth Rogen, don't listen or watch. You can fuck right off.
Don't think I can say it much better than that, sir.
Now to the football.
Hey, and Sammy, what should people not do? What's one of the rules?
Don't be a cunt.
And what's the other thing? Who shouldn't they kill?
Black people.
Yeah,
don't kill black people.
Yeah, it's pretty easy, isn't it?
Just don't kill black people. Also, don't be a racist bastard.
Pretty amazing. An entire league this weekend took a knee before every single game. Had nothing to do with the national anthem. Had nothing to do with the American flag. And the people who keep thinking that that's what it's all about, seriously, need to go out and play with traffic. It's Darwinism at its best. We need to thin the herd.
There was a comedian the other day that was talking about specifically COVID and some of the things that were happening surrounding the pandemic and the way people were acting. It said you always learn about Darwinism and natural selection and those things, and you learn about them in textbooks because they typically take 3-4 generations to play out, so no one ever actually sees it. He said it's really cool to see this microcosm of a very long idea, a long theory, play out right in front of your eyes.
It's not the first one who typically gets it done, but it's the first one that inspires all the others to do it. And Colin Kaepernick has sacrificed a lot in his career because he took a knee. And now there's a world taking a knee with him. And that says a lot. It really does say a lot.
Yep. So if you find yourself on the other side of the coin, again, don't fucking listen to us.
DBAC, baby. DBAC. Football is back, Sammy.
Football is back. Sorry, I had to get that out of the way.
You know what? I don't want to fucking stop you. Please, by all means, go right the hell ahead. And, honestly, after today, people that are Footy fans saw that, and I'm sure they weren't fucking pleased about it either.
Yep.
Let's face it, with the teams kind of dipping their toes back into the ocean, particularly in the case of the Jose Derby and the Merseyside Derby, the games were a touch dull. Tottenham won, Man U won, Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Horrible breakdown from Maguire and De Gea
He looked like he had cement blocks on his feet.
and Bergwijn just blew right past him. I mean, Maguire's not known as being the paciest of defenders, but he's still a really good defender.
Yeah, he should be more positionally aware.
He's the starting center back for the English national team, and he looked dumb.
Yeah.
He looked like his legs got crossed. Honestly, it looked like an old school Allen Iverson crossover and just went right the fuck past him. And he just went,
He looked like he looks. Just a meathead.
Yeah.
Just a blockhead that just doesn't know anything.
And then you really got to hate
pitiful.
it when the shot, as a keeper, when it hits you right in your hand area, that's really difficult to manage
Yeah.
as a keeper. I'm just telling you from my
Did you hear what
25
Roy
years
Keane said?
experience of playing keeper, when it hits you right on the hand, it's really hard to save it.
Did you hear
Apparently,
what Roy
that's the
Keane
case
said?
for De Gea. No.
Roy Keane came out and said during halftime, he was doing the punditry for that on the desk. And at halftime, he came out and said, he was like, if I was still in that team, I wouldn't just take a swing at him in the locker room. He said, I would fight him. Like, just not just to like hit him upside the head or take a like punch him and it's over. No, we are adversaries. There will be a winner. I'm fighting you.
Like
You are going, yeah. You will
because-
come back at me, and I will beat you.
Well, because if you throw punches at him and he blocks them away, you can go, look, it's that easy. Fucking save a ball and walk away.
Yeah, idiot. That was pretty bad. I would dare to say a howler.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Maguire just it looked like Per Mertesacker in his last 2 games.
Yeah.
Honestly, just as slow as could be. Didn't react well to the danger, and Steven Bergwijn made him pay. It was a relatively simple turn. I think they gave him way too much space where he was originally when he collected that ball, and then just blew past him like it was going out of style.
It was also interesting because because of it being in the summertime now for the players, and they've been, honestly, 3 months is the most they've been away from football ever. Normally, you're away from football for about 3 weeks. You go play international duty. If you're not playing international duty, you're away from football for about 8 weeks.
Yeah, tops. Yep.
But normally it's 3 weeks. You play international 2 weeks, and then you're back to playing footy again. So most of these guys, it's a year-round gig. It's what they do. So to be 3 months away was big. Interesting though, but that goal came right after that little water break they did. So Mourinho doing
Water
what
breaks
Mourinho
played
does
a big part this weekend
a lot,
in changing momentum and all sorts.
awful lot. You saw multiple goals scored right after a water break.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was 25 degrees Celsius,
Yeah,
which is what, 78.
yeah.
Why do you need a water break?
Because
Fucking English pussy.
Because to them that's 90. They don't understand. They got no
They don't
idea
even know what heat is.
They don't know what 90 and
Yeah.
humid is. They don't know. That's why they come to America to train in the summer so
Right.
they can get like their asses
Well,
kicked.
that was my question. Are they anticipating it to be hotter in the next 5 weeks? And in which case,
I would
then
assume so.
You just have to do it as a standard thing because.
That seems weird. That's one thing you can implement.
You can always implement it.
Frank Lampard had a fucking jacket on.
Yeah, it's.
It can't be that hot. Why are we doing water breaks?
I mean, honestly, I think they're doing it because of the time apart. Because it is, I mean, like I said, 3 months. None of these guys, unless they suffered a major injury, have not played footy for 3 fucking months. Like
Yeah, no, I'm
that's
with
a
you.
lot. That is a lot to put on them.
Absolutely.
Second half starts. Paul Pogba comes on, and suddenly it was a dream. It was exactly what every Manchester United fan has ever hoped for.
Yep.
I mean, impact,
Big time.
unselfish,
100%.
helping the team, handing the ball to Bruno Fernandes when he gets the penalty, and lets Bruno Fernandes take the penalty. Like-
Thank God, because we'd still be standing there waiting for him to run up to the ball.
Oh yeah, that penalty shot wouldn't have been taken yet. Pants off, dance off. Paul Pogba.
That's
Let
right.
us not forget.
We'd still be into the 2 days worth of stoppage time at the end of that game.
Never forget. Pants off, dance off. Never forget.
I think that Eric Dyer channeled his best Harry Maguire from the first half. Paul Pogba should not have been able to breeze past him that easily. And then a very rash decision in going and giving him any opportunity to go down. I do believe it was a penalty.
It was definitely a penalty. I mean, it's Pogba felt the contact and Pogba went down, but that is what you expect any
player to do.
especially
Absolutely.
when you're on the end line and you don't really have a look at a shot. Yeah, you feel that contact, you go down.
Right.
It's what a basketball player will do when taking a charge. It's what a receiver will do the minute he feels a hand on him in football. It's the foul's coming. You sell it, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. And Bruno Fernandes dispatched the penalty very well. Both keepers played very well. After
The one big gap.
the one big gaff, there was a couple of brilliant saves. I think one that Hugo Lloris had, where he turned it onto the crossbar was brilliant.
Yep.
You can see in a lot of these games the rust start to shake off. most of the second halves were better football matches than the first halves.
They were.
In a lot of cases. But overall, yeah, it was kind of dull. A second penalty shout, overturned by VAR, finally doing its job.
Right.
Again, Fernandez, I think, took advantage of a situation. Jose Mourinho afterwards, loved that. Did you hear what he said?
No, I did not.
He said, I'm from that country, and I know what players are capable of. How can you possibly racially profile your own fucking people?
Because it's Jose Mourinho. It's how he rolls, man.
And bring offense to your own countrymen.
It is how he fucking rolls.
It's hysterical.
Can this Pogba thing work?
I think so. Another show that we listen to from time to time, one of the pundits was saying that with Fred before and some of the gaffes that Fred was making, Pogba felt like he had to do everything. You would see him kind of work hard, but he was doing too much. And when Rashford was out, there was nobody to get on the end of the long ball. When Martial was out, he's not really a point man. So there's nobody to play with wall-wise. There's nobody close enough to him for him to do that piece of the job.
Right.
Now he has a player in Bruno Fernandes that he trusts, right? And so he can focus on the one responsibility he has. And then Fernandes is a little closer to him, which he feels comfortable playing 1-2s with and those sorts of things.
Now, there was no bitching and moaning for fouls. That he was pretty calm and quiet there on the pitch, not looking for stuff. My second question is, I say, can it work? Will Pogba allow it to work? Can Pogba be second fiddle? Because it's clear this is Bruno Fernandes' team now. This is not Paul Pogba's team.
I think they will share a lot of that responsibility. Now, I think Paul Pogba won't let the spotlight not be on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was crying out for somebody to share the spotlight with.
Okay.
I think that pressure got to be too much for him, and he crumbled under it when it was solely his responsibility to make sure the entire midfield churned. But now you can see he played like a man with the weight off of his shoulders.
I tell
and
you what,
with the market the way it's going to be this summer because of COVID, who knows if anybody can afford him?
Madrid's not going to pay you $100 million for him, which is exactly what you're going to need.
Exactly.
In order to sell him, because you bought him for 90. If you don't get 100, you're not going to sell him.
Exactly. So he may be stuck at United, and he might need to make it work.
Yeah, tell you what, if he sticks around, I would fancy them quite a bit going into in the next season to challenge for top 4 and hell to challenge for a title. I mean, you got to solidify. You need to get somebody next to Maguire that's a little faster and willing to take a little more initiative in the game, but. Your midfield's pretty good. You got decent wingers. You got a lot of nice young talent, you know.
Yep.
Your keeper can be the best goalkeeper in the world, or he can be a complete fucking knucklehead. You know, so that might need to get addressed. But unfortunately, you have him on a deal.
Yeah, you just extended his contract. You have somebody like Dean Henderson, who United owns, that's on loan at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And looks a wonderfully serviceable keeper.
Yeah.
I think he was put a little bit under the cosh, unluckily, this weekend. We'll talk about that, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But he has been phenomenal all year.
Yeah.
Better than fucking David De Gea.
Yeah, he has been.
All year.
Better goals against, more shutouts.
Yep.
Merseyside Derby, quite a drab affair, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I will. 3 shots on target apiece.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I've never heard of either of these two teams.
Yeah, I hear you.
Liverpool completely dominated the ball. That was expected.
Right.
But like I said, shots were almost even. I think y'all had 8. They took 10 overall.
Yep.
3 shots on target apiece. Y'all were very efficient in your possession, creating that many chances, and worked extremely hard. I think missing so many pieces, having so many injuries, it was a pretty decent display from you guys.
Yeah, it looked like Carlo made a plan. It worked. The team followed it, which was great. Incredible to see the 19-year-old get his Anthony Gordon get his first Premier League start. He has been subbing in quite a bit before the whole COVID thing went down, but getting to get his first Premier League start in a Merseyside derby. Unfortunately, to an empty stadium, and his family not able to be there, but still something he's probably going to remember forever.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody in the family got a press pass somehow.
Yeah, they snuck old Pops in there, I'm sure.
On. Yeah.
Mom or Pops got into that game.
But they had, I thought y'all had an excellent game. I really did. I thought Liverpool was wasteful in their chances early on. And kind of, I don't want to say crumbled under the task, but because they ended up being equal to it. But you all had a big flurry of chances right at the end of the game, 2 or 3.
We could have snuck one.
You could have snuck a winner, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like Liverpool was playing not to get hurt and not to lose.
Yeah.
It did not feel like they were going into that derby going, we're going to win this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's a hangover effect from where they were before COVID, because before COVID, they got knocked out of the FA Cup, they got knocked out of the Champions League, and they suffered their first defeat to a relegation battling team.
Yep, that's the truth.
Not doing well. And I think maybe Klopp's just kind of easing them back in and just going, you know what? We'll worry about it when we face City in a couple of weeks.
Right. I mean, they only need to take 6 points from these final 8 games.
Right.
Total, and they'll win the title regardless of City's results.
Which they can do, honestly, the way it's now working out, they could do it against City.
Right.
They probably, considering this year, no offense to us because of the Merseyside derby, but I'm sure Klopp would love to take it at the Etihad against City.
Over Pep, yeah.
Oh, he'd love to do it that
100%.
way.
So I just, fun fact also, very interesting. They may now, after Wednesday, it may be too late for this to come to fruition.
Right.
But had they beat you and had they won on Wednesday, it would have been both simultaneously the earliest and the latest that a team had ever won the title.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
How? Because, how do you ask?
Oh, COVID.
So it's late June. League always ends in May. So it's the latest date that anyone has ever won the title, but there would have been 7 games left.
Which is the
earliest
someone's ever won the title. It's like 4 or 5 games left is normally when the title's determined.
A little bit of pub trivia that now is completely false because they can't win it on Wednesday.
Exactly.
I don't think.
And for me as an Evertonian, I'll tell you what. This season, Liverpool has dropped points now to only 3 teams. First in a draw to United, second in a loss to Watford, and then again to us this weekend. Honestly, the thing to talk about, Sam, and we probably could have opened with this, but there's a lot going on the bottom of the table, and I think it has become very obvious there are 4 teams battling for 2 spots to stay up now. I think it really comes down to it's Bournemouth, Villa, West Ham, and Watford battling for 2 spots to stay up.
What makes me nervous about it for Villa especially is their remaining fixture list.
They got a tough schedule.
They face 4 of the top 6.
Yeah.
Traditional top 6.
Yep.
I think I'm included in that.
Yeah.
I'm not in the top 6.
Well, and the rate you're going right now,
anywhere fucking near the top 6.
They're winning that one.
Yeah. That might be the one surprise, right?
Right.
They so that's what I would worry about from them specifically. Is the remaining fixture list is very difficult, albeit it's mostly at home.
So let me knock out the scores here real quick. Villa 0, Sheffield 0, Chelsea 2, Villa 1, Watford 1, Leicester 1, Crystal Palace 2, Bournemouth 0, Wolverhampton 2, West Ham 0. Let's go ahead and get into Villa there, as you were saying, Sammy. Any another thought to that, or?
Yeah, it just. I mean, if they, if the 2 teams ahead of them, or 2 of the 3 teams ahead of them, pick up a win on a weekend that they lose, I think that it then becomes 3 teams, as you say, vying for 1 spot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they're down. It's going to be a very difficult. This Sheffield game we're about to talk about, I think, was their big opportunity to stay in the race.
Yeah.
Lucky, I guess, for them that VAR didn't decide to intervene when Hawkeye failed.
Yeah.
But unlucky, they never scored.
Yeah,
So,
I will say they were the better side in that game.
Absolutely.
Now all we're going to talk about is Hawkeye and VAR here in a second, but they got more corners, they got more opportunities, they got more clear-cut opportunities. But as is the problem, they don't have anybody up top that can put the ball away. And that is what's killed them this season. You can't rely, even now that McGinn's back, you can't rely on McGinn and Jack to do it all for you. someone's got to put the ball in the back of the fucking net.
Right.
And you lost Wesley, and Samata is doing all the hard work, but he hasn't. I mean, he just came to the team, and Davis is a young kid, who's got the. I mean, he's a fucking horse. He's a giant fucking kid, but balls on your head inside the box, son. You got to put that in the back of the fucking net. That's your job, especially when you're a giant out there, I mean, clear header, got to go in the back of the fucking net.
Absolutely. You have to go after it. If you don't want it, I mean, there's no more of the epitome of to the winner goes the spoils, right? The person that wants it the most gets it than a ball floated into the box.
Yep.
You think of somebody like Giroud, has his critics, technically gifted in my opinion. You know my feelings on him.
Yeah.
But he's strong, he's big, and he puts himself about. A lot of times, a lot of the headers he wins are because he wants it more than the defender does.
Yep.
And showing that heart and desire is what Villa need right now, but not what they're getting from their forward players.
Yeah. I feel like the rest of the team showed it. I just don't feel like
And Jack and McGinn, the two of them, Jack Grealish and John McGinn, and even Hurahan to a lesser extent, they all have goals in their game. But their job isn't to score fucking goals.
Well, and Jack can only put himself, especially into the second game, which I guess we'll kind of talk about both simultaneously.
Yeah, why not?
Jack put himself into as many positions as humanly possible to know that he was going to get fouled, to get set pieces, to put all the big bodies in the box, and they could only manage one goal out of it.
Right.
They got opportunity after opportunity after opportunity against Chelsea as well. And that's Jack going, I'm going to risk injury and put my ass on the fucking line, dribble in front of people, tease them with the ball, knowing that they're going to fucking hack me. And he's getting knocked down a ton, and he's doing it to get those fucking free kicks.
Yep.
Put some of them in the back of the fucking net, boys.
Did not go unnoticed that the announcers spent so much time downplaying Villa, talking about as are going down as if it's inevitable, and what team Jack's going to go to next. Like, they speculated on that 2 or 3 times during the show.
Doesn't surprise me. I don't think Dean Smith is the most brilliant tactician that the league has ever seen.
He always looks lost.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he reminds me of that guy from that movie that is the coach of the team that just shows up but doesn't have it all together, but he's a good bloke that works in the city and everybody likes him. But he's just not terrific, and I just don't think and I don't know what I'm talking about, clearly. I'm just talking about the impression I get from how he carries himself, to what he wears, to how he talks in interviews, to what his body language is. He seems in over his head.
Yeah. When it became clear that there wasn't going to be a forward coming in January of any real quality.
Yeah. Samata has... I like Samata, but he's not what they needed.
Right. What I would do if I were Dean Smith, and you can fight me on it if you want to, is I would have studied, essentially, every single game that Barcelona played under Pep Guardiola from, 2011 to 2013.
With guess what? Without
a false 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
where
striker.
There is no striker.
Yep.
And especially when you have a midfield that has goals in them, like Hurahan, McGinn, and Grealish, all of them with their movement can occupy that space for a time, and they have the ability to finish, where none of those strikers at Aston Villa currently have the ability to finish. So, and even Douglas Luiz, to a certain extent, has an eye for goal.
Yeah.
A little bit more of a flair goal, not very many. He does just kind of add exclamation points from time to time. One free kick comes to mind. But why they didn't go to that sort of a system, and that's where I think Dean Smith's tactical ability is a shortcoming for them.
So since we went ahead and talked about Chelsea, Villa first, a couple of nice goals, by the way, out of Chelsea, and it's kind of what you expected Chelsea to do. They gave up the lead, and Villa tried to do all they could to hold on to it, but within a couple of minutes, it was tied, and then then the lead was taken by Chelsea.
Yeah.
Mel, you want to go ahead and throw back that nice, refreshing shot of Malort
I'm
real
waiting
quick?
to see which one of you are going to videotape this because I haven't had Malort. Oh, here we go.
We'll have him
video.
video because I'm going to take my first one with you.
No. You take yours when you talk about your 2 losses there, Killer.
I don't wanna
Apparently,
do
you're not
that.
allowed.
You're
He's
gonna
got
do that.
rules.
I don't want to do that.
I'm a fucking tyrant.
You're right.
Scarf on.
So the other, say your final piece
I mean, I got
that
nothing
we
to
always
say.
do before shots.
I appreciated listening to the announcers talk about what team Jack's going to go to, the inevitability of Villa going down, the number 2 in the coaching staff. Apparently, he wanted the job at Chelsea. And that's kind of the stuff they were talking about with Villa. And so
That's John
I'm
Terry.
not.
Yep.
He also wants to fuck your wife. That's what
Everyone's
John Terry
wife.
wants to do.
Yeah.
all of the
He
wives.
has that look about him. Like, I don't. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. So yeah, I got nothing more to say. Up the Villa, maybe. But when they go down, remember, I go where Jack goes.
Now Mel's like the announcers.
Oh, yuck. Oh, God.
I know it's worse coming back, isn't it?
Ah.
Oh, it sucks.
I don't even know what to wash it down with.
Oh, that lovely gin and tonic will probably work.
Ah.
There it goes.
Yes, that worked really well.
Let's
So
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, real quick. Mixed emotions with that one because Christian Pulisic, the American, who we really want to succeed in England, ended up scoring the equalizer. Great after injury layoff pre-COVID, came back and scored the goal that tied it up. So that was good to see coming off the bench from him.
So all we can say about Sheffield, the Sheffield United game for Villa, Villa got lucky. The ball was in the back of the net. Hawkeye, which is the goal line technology, did not work. Now, mind you, it's the first time it hasn't worked in 9,000 questionable goal situations.
No, 9,000 games that Hawkeye's been involved in.
So guess what? Hawkeye immediately admitted it, immediately said, we got it wrong. We're very sorry. You know what? You get the pass. That's okay because it's worked for 9,000 fucking games. What doesn't work is how come for 69 seconds of play, how the fuck VAR does not look at a fucking television screen when their job is to look at a fucking television screen?
Hey, Graham, I didn't mind.
So, yeah, Mel thought it worked perfectly.
We owed that one. I mean, sorry, Nick. I agree because Nick immediately sent a message in.
I saw, yeah.
Sorry, Nick. I know they got screwed, but I don't care. We were owed that. We got screwed over many times.
Oh,
by
you were
VAR.
screwed over with the Jack Grealish against Crystal Palace, the penalty that didn't get called, and he got fucking a yellow for diving, and it wasn't a dive.
Nowhere near a
Plus,
dive.
the game really means nothing to Sheffield. They're just finishing out their season. They're
Well,
not going up.
now it
They're not
doesn't because
staying down.
after what happened to them in Newcastle this weekend.
Yep. So besides there not being much to talk about in the actual game itself, the last thing I'll leave it with is I'm just happy that football came back. I was happy to watch professional football.
Yeah, that was the first game.
I worked extra on Tuesday last week so I could be off early enough to see the game live, to get home and see the game live. But the only talking point for me we just went over is laugh my fucking ass off, VAR. You were a bunch of cunts. You're still a bunch of cunts.
Very good, very good. So let's kind of kick through these next three pretty quickly. I mean, they're not really a ton to talk about in each of them. For Watford-Leicester, it was nothing until the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, essentially. The entire game was absolute dog shit.
Leicester scored a great goal, and then right at the death was it Dawson, the center back, with a bicycle.
Yeah.
When does that
It was
shit
great.
happen?
No, absolutely. It was wonderful. The one thing, I mean, the game was lively. They were trying. You know, it was a more exciting 0-0 than the Aston Villa-Sheffield United game.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
you could definitely see the rust. And then in the last 10 minutes, the rust visibly shook off the players, and they had some quality about them.
Oh, wait, we're supposed to score here. Let's do it twice, quickly.
But fuck all that happened. Ben Chilwell, potential goal of the season there.
Oh.
Potential goal of the season there.
It was brilliant.
What a hit.
Oh, it
What
was
a
brilliant.
hit. Absolutely laced it.
He'll be lacing him for fucking Chelsea next year.
Fucking laser beam. That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was two great goals, and that kind of made up for a slightly mundane game. But what can be said is, much like Villa at least trying, it looked like Villa tried, right?
Yeah.
It looked like Watford was trying.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to Norwich, it doesn't look like Norwich is even fucking trying anymore. And
They thought they were still in quarantine.
And in the case of the next match for West Ham and Wolverhampton, it looked like West Ham tried, but they can't try good enough.
Yeah.
They don't try so good. I mean, all the credit to the world to Declan Rice for playing center back and filling in a void and doing a job and putting in a shift. But, when you've got a right back starting for you that's a kid that's about to go out of contract that does not want to re-sign with you and then just gets burned over and over and over again down the side in the first half. It's just like...
The other thing, Adama Traore completely changed that game.
Oh yeah.
As soon as he came on.
It's what Traore does.
Absolutely.
And when he starts, it's not the same.
It's not. He still does a lot of good things, but especially when players begin to get knackered with as physical and as fast, and now, over the last year and a half, 2 years, as smart, and with the final ball that he's added to his game, and even finishing he's added to his game. Now, when he comes on those last 20 minutes, and the other team's kind of huffing and puffing, there's no more...
That outside back's exhausted.
There's no more gut-wrenching feeling than seeing him standing at midfield ready to come on. It's like, oh, Christ.
Yeah.
I just did all this
Yeah.
for the last hour, and now I got 30 minutes against this dude.
And you've got an NFL running back coming onto the pitch with, short, squatty, big chest, huge fucking legs. Oh, and he's lightning fast.
Yeah.
and he can change pace. Now,
it sucks.
but then when you play him when you play against him and you put him on as a starter, you as a defender, you can get him out of a game real quick. Run him into the corner, play physical with him early. He gets dejected very quickly. So for me, it's like his best job is coming in off the bench, and maybe not with Wolverhampton. If I was a team like, one of the top 6 clubs, I'd spend 40, 50 million on that guy legitimately and just go, your job is to fucking win games in the last 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm going to use you every fucking game to do that. And he'd respond. He would completely respond to that, I think.
100%.
He'd like to start. He'd like to play all the time, but I think he'd respond.
Yeah, as long as he knows the plan and you're honest with him about it. Now, every player wants to start. Every player wants to play all 90 minutes, but it's not possible. Right?
Yeah.
So as long as you're honest with him about the game plan, and then it backs it up. The game plan itself is working.
Right.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Footballing wise, I would say the unluckiest person in football due to COVID is Danny Ings.
Yeah.
The way he's been banging goals in all season, he hit the bar early on in that game and then had a great finish later in that game.
We're going to talk about that in the last segment. We haven't talked about him yet.
I know, but we mentioned Norwich. I thought we were
I
on
just
to that game
said
too.
Norwich isn't trying.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
I just said Norwich is. It's nice
whatever.
when you listen to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead into the next game of the last game of this segment. I would just like to say on Injury Time, and if you would listen to Injury Time, Sam, how would you get to find Injury Time?
You can find that on our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/DUfootballshows. Multiple tiers you could sign up to. You get some stuff in the mail, actually, once you do sign up. But there's also extra content, extra shows, possibly some video, all sorts of stuff you can get from us. So check that out and make sure you get fully immersed in the DU Football Show experience.
Exactly. And on that show last week, I said, and I quote, Crystal Palace win easily 2-0. Sam, what was the score?
I was 2-0, and it was a pretty easy work for Crystal Palace.
Fucking called it.
Yeah.
And it was exactly what I told you it was going to be. It is a veteran team. A veteran team is ready to play. The only thing that knocks back a veteran team is not being healthy. That's it. And they're all healthy. They were ready to play. They fucking played well. Voila.
Yeah, Luka Milivojevic normally from the penalty spot. This time took the same dead ball situation, just about 14 yards further away. Maybe less than 14 yards, maybe more 11 yards further away. And it was fantastic. What a free kick from him. Jordan Ayew.
Yep.
That was an old school Arsenal-esque move from them in that build-up for Jordan Ayew's finish.
Zaha right down the goal line.
Well, there was a crossfield ball. Mm-hmm. There was a 1-2 played. It was decent football, good build-up, and then a great cross on the ground. Jordan Ayew tapped it home. Still had a lot to do, ball bobbling a little bit.
Yeah, but put it right on his foot and boom, goal. Bournemouth looks like they don't care.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's there
was only 3 shots on target the entire game, and 2 of them went in by the same team.
Yep.
Bournemouth had 1 fucking shot on target. It was absolutely pitiful.
So this segment, I'd like to read you guys the notes that I wrote. And now, Arsenal. Manchester City 3, Arsenal 0. Brighton 2, Arsenal 1. Q Graham in 3, 2, 1.
All right, it's going to be a little bit of a quiet start because I'm going to do my first shot to rev up to the excitement, okay? And then I'll do my second shot to close it out. So, haven't had to do this for a while, but down the old hatch.
How's the taste? Oh, and by the way, Sam, that's all I wrote for the notes, so you get to carry this segment.
It is just as nasty as I remember it. Typical old Arsenal against City.
Mm-hmm.
2 injuries in quick succession. David Luiz, red card, gives away a penalty. Also at fault for the first goal. And then why not just add a third? Because fuck it. That was essentially the entire thing. We had a couple of chances. One of which fell to Eddie Nketiah, which was unlucky because just a little bit of an experience overhit it. But City kicked the ever-loving shit out of us and shook off the rust way faster than we did.
There was a little something in the first 20 minutes from you guys, and then there was...
Nothing. Yep.
It was really bad.
Not as bad, though.
Really, really bad.
Not as bad because it's City and you expect it. I was just happy football was back. I knew we were going to lose. I said online, if you're following Drunk United on Facebook or in our closed group, which if you like our Facebook page, you get an invite to the closed group, Drunk United Football Club. We said it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's 12-0. It's City. Well, I know we're going to lose, right? Doesn't matter to me. Just happy football's back. I get to watch something. I get to yell at a TV. Because I haven't been able to yell at a TV about anything other than politics for the last 3 months.
Yeah. City.
Yeah.
That is true.
Sammy, City. 2 games this week. 8 goals for, 0 against.
Yeah.
City is fucking City. And City now has Laporte. If and buts were honey and nuts, well, it would be sweet and dreamy, I know. But if this team was healthy, if Laporte was healthy, back in February even, it's a completely different conversation. I think Liverpool still wins the league, but I also don't think
it's
City,
by 26 points or whatever they're up right now. Yeah.
Precisely. I think we're looking at like a 9-point lead or a 6-point
exactly,
lead.
100%.
Because it all changed when Laporte went down. And now they score every fucking goal inside the 6 on a tap-in. They dance the ball around you. It's fucking Pep Guardiola at Pep Guardiola's best.
Yes. David Luiz looks like Sideshow Bob, but what's the clown from The Simpsons name?
Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob.
No, the clown.
Oh, Sideshow
Krusty.
Mel.
Krusty.
Krusty.
Oh, Krusty the Clown.
Yeah, he looks like Sideshow Bob, but he plays like fucking Krusty.
Terrible.
That's all I'll say about that. Brighton,
Let's go into the next one.
for fuck's sake. I'm
How many games has Brighton won in 2020?
none. Well, now one.
One.
Yeah,
They've
up
won one.
to this point, none.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've won one.
0.
You.
No, they hadn't taken a single solitary point in 2020 until Saturday. I am basic Becky here because I just fucking can't. I just
Can't
can't.
even?
Yeah. Both teams were lively but lacked quality. Pepe finally, fantastic goal.
Gorgeous goal.
And that was the only good moment in the match we had.
Well, and it seemed like you scored the goal. You're like, okay, fucking game, set, match. You're going to win 1-0. Or maybe you get a second one right at the end. But you'll be all right.
Typical
You're
Arsenal.
doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, typical Arsenal goal mouth scramble. Rob Holding puts it off of, I don't know who they credited the goal to, but hit off of him back into our own net.
I think it was Dunk who ended up getting it.
Yeah, well, fantastic for him. And then Neil Maupay's bitch ass, who had some choice words after the game, and fuck him. He hit Bert Leno when there was no reason to go for the ball. He was 2 yards away, hadn't left the ground yet. Leno already had the balls in his hand. Balls in his hand. Ball in his hand.
And he jumped up and pushed him.
Jumped, shouldered
his
him.
body into him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lands awkwardly, probably done. They're saying, the rumor I heard, possibly out until 2022.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I mean, hold on. He's a gentleman. Remember, he said he didn't mean to do it, and that he felt sorry about what happened. He felt so sorry about what happened that when you could hear Leno yelp, he fucking yelped. You heard it over the fucking background music.
Yep.
He yelped. You heard it clear as day. Maupay was right there to point at the fact that he had gone outside the box with the ball and was yelling and screaming for a handball.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly the gentleman that he was.
After the game, I think the Arsenal players lack humility and fuck you, bro. Okay?
You might have just ended a man's career. He's going to sit up when you try to go over and touch his hand to go, oh, I'm so sorry, to try to make yourself look like the good guy. If he sits up in the fucking stretcher and looks at you and tells you to fuck right off and points in your face, you fucking take it and you just go, all right, yeah, okay. I tried to smooth it over, didn't work. He's right.
Yeah, basically. So that being said,
and then
to quote Charlie Austin.
Oh, and then what did he do then? He scored the game winner.
Oh yeah, in
extra time,
right?
Because your team
he's an asshole.
just doesn't.
We have no
care.
spine,
zero spine whatsoever.
So to quote Charlie Austin, and to round out this segment, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Rounding out the rest of the league, and so that happened. It's not really so that happened. It's footy happened, fucking footy happened.
Yes, sir.
Newcastle 3, Sheffield 0. Southampton 3, Norwich 0. Man City 5, Burnley 0.
I think you're doing Newcastle a disservice here. Putting them in this segment. We don't get to talk about them often.
I needed to round out this segment, so I put them in. But that also reminds me, real quick, I was fully prepared to just mock Joe Linton. It was there. First half, he runs down the pitch. He's all by himself against the keeper, kicks the ball directly into the ground and watches it bounce out wide. I'm like, there we go. That's our story. We're just going to mock Joe Linton. And then Sheffield got a red card, and then suddenly didn't know how to play football when they had to play with a back four.
Joe Linton involved in both of those incidents, the 2 yellows.
Mm-hmm.
The first, obviously, was a little bit of a shoving match. Was it Johnny Egan that got the red card? Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Shouldn't
2
have been
yellows.
involved in. No reason to do that. Pushed Joe Linton, got the yellow. Then starts dragging him back. They're jostling for position. Ends up bringing Joe Linton down after a decent turn from Joe Linton.
Which, after you've watched Joe Linton kick the ball into the ground when he was going away to goal, why don't you just let him run on to goal?
Right.
Because he's probably going to fuck it up anyways.
Absolutely.
Instead, you're like, I'm going to pull him down, knowing you're going to get the second yellow, knowing you're going to get sent off.
Very obvious Matt Ritchie's importance, as he was missing earlier in the season. When Newcastle was on one of their terrible runs.
Hell of a strike. Henderson, I think, could have done better. He was caught, as you like to say to me, tree trunked.
Yeah, he was caught flat-footed.
Yeah.
I think it was struck very well. Don't take anything away from the strike.
It was a great hit.
I think part of the problem is there was a moment of hesitation. Nobody talked about it that I heard, but Danny Rose's run on the left, the overlap as Matt Ritchie was carrying the ball, forced the defender to have to think about the run. And he stayed just enough off of Matt Ritchie that he got that half a yard to have a strike. By the time he addressed Matt Ritchie, the ball was already past him. I think Dean Henderson may have been caught flat-footed because he expected the defender to address the ball, and then he would just have to worry about whatever cross Danny Rose was putting in.
Right.
Right? I don't think he thought that shot was going to come. But it did, and it was a laser.
All right. So real quick, we got a question from our boy Keith out in Frederick, Newcastle supporter, who was on for the potential Newcastle takeover show with us when we did the Zoom meeting.
Yes.
So Mel, if Aston Villa fails to beat the Mighty Magpies on Wednesday,
Mighty Magpies.
3-game winning streak, is she conceding relegation or is she still holding out for hope? I thought they had a chance of escaping, but the play of the bottom 3 makes me think that they are all going down now.
I think I actually lost hope a while ago. It's the two of you that are both rooting for Villa to come up, and I secretly think that's just because it's good for the show if Villa stays up. But I think I've already conceded it.
I actually don't mind Villa.
I
don't
love
record
Villa.
of saying that.
I love Villa, but we couldn't get points against Sheffield. Although Sheffield plays good. I mean, I'm not knocking them, but we couldn't get 1 point for a friggin' tie. I still hate that thing. By the way,
I know.
But let's see what happens on Wednesday. Let me revisit that question next week.
I mean, it screams because Newcastle's won 2 in a row and has played well that they will completely suck a dick next week.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm looking forward to
That
them.
is what Newcastle does.
I'm looking forward to them sucking a dick.
Did you?
It'll be like the
That can't be show title.
the takeover goes
It
through.
could.
The takeover goes through. They suck the dick. That is exactly what happens.
Well, because the problem is, if they win a third in a row, Mike Ashley's not going to sell. He'd be like, "Oh, this is a viable business option."
Yeah, no, wait, I could sell it for $450 million.
I believe we've scored 1 goal in 5 games.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's really sad. That's really sad.
In terms of Newcastle, though, quickly.
Is it Newcastle or Tewcastle?
Now it's 3 Castle.
Yes.
They I think this is the longest time between back-to-back wins in
Longest winning streak.
in footballing history. Yeah.
There we go. Longest winning streak for Newcastle.
the longest winning. Well, no, that was the longest holding a cup.
Right.
Say the Portsmouth in World War II.
I'm just saying for Newcastle, longest winning streak.
Oh, ever, absolutely, 100%. They Joe Linton nabbed a goal finally after all of his hard work. He did work very hard in this game. He played
Absolutely.
he played pretty well, better than I've seen him play all season.
Maximon and Almiron are fantastic on the wings.
Busy.
They're really great players.
Maximon grabbed a goal. I think Henderson was unfairly criticized for that, having to come across. His defender should have dealt with it. Absolutely whiffed the ball, and coming across still got a foot to it, but Maximon smashed it.
Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah, so Steve Bruce, just like to say, he came out with some comments. Did you hear these comments?
Yeah, I heard he talked about he's looking forward to the next coach while he's still under contract for 3 fucking years.
Even though you won
telling.
3-0, I just want Alan and Keith and all the boys to know that you didn't fucking fail to disappoint. Your currently contracted coach, who has probably less time on his current deal than Alan Pardue still has on his parachute payments for being sacked, welcomed the idea, essentially, of a new coach coming in and all but wished him good luck.
Yep.
Post takeover.
Southampton, Norwich. We don't have any Norwich people who listen to this show, and Norwich is dead man walking.
Notch.
And Southampton, if we have anybody who listens that are Southampton fans, they sure as fuck haven't reached out.
I do.
Oh, we do?
Somebody in my neighborhood.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Actually.
We do actually finally have a Southampton fan.
Yeah.
I like it.
Kenny, what's up, buddy?
All right, excellent.
but
They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Hassan Hoodles got them playing good ball. The right people scored goals. They're going to be safe.
Yes. The only thing that I would say about this was the point I tried to bring up earlier and then got shot down by the court jester. I mean, tyrant. Is Danny Ings, footballing-wise, has to be the most unlucky person in all of football. Harry Kane was hurt. The Euros were this summer. Didn't know if Harry Kane was going to get back in time to be fit for the Euros. Maybe a Wayne Rooney situation where he was brought anyway and gained match fitness during the tournament. But Danny Ings was due up to be England's number one, potentially. Maybe alongside Tammy Abraham. And COVID allowed Kane to get fit, forced the Euros to be pushed back to next year. And who knows if that form's going to continue.
Yeah.
And who's to say Tammy and Harry Kane aren't in more blistering form.
Right.
And obviously, I want to be sensitive to everyone that's been affected directly by this disease and everything else. I'm strictly speaking in a footballing sense. As it comes to Danny Ings, he is the most unlucky person on the face of the planet.
Absolutely. So with City and Burnley, allow me to say the following. In the last 4 games, City had beat Burnley a total 20-1. Now in 5 games, they have now beat them a total 25-1. It's time to tell you what little we know. It is prediction time. Sammy, you have reached a monumentous opportunity. You have broken Mount 2000. You are now down $2,097. How do you feel on this momentous occasion?
Good. Excellent.
Good.
Coming right back in.
All right, good. What
I got
what-
to
I
got to sell my mattress to place this next bet, but I'm feeling good. Feeling confident.
So before you make your bet, I just want to know, can you become a Mr. 3000? Can you do it? I think you can, Sam.
Of course I can. All I have to do is pick something stupid and bet $1,000 on it, which is what I'm prone to do.
Probably what you're about to do. But before you do that, Sam, I think you need to go back to feeding the Dort Spirect Cup of Losers.
Yes, I do. And so here's what I wrote. They had to do with Arsenal, but I don't really remember. I just know I lost. That's the first one. And the second one is shake my motherfucking head. So there you go.
Before you make your bet, I'll go ahead and say what mine says is, at least I'm not as bad as Graham.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead and tell us what cockamamie shit you have today.
So I obviously need to make up a lot of ground. I have picked a 4-part parlay because I need the money.
This should go over really well.
It should. And should I hit, which I do have the potential to do, it will put me in the black, my friend.
Is a $2,000 winner?
It will be.
Oh, I
Leicester,
can't wait to hear this shit.
Leicester to win against Brighton with Vardy to score, and Everton to win against Norwich with Richarlison to score.
Okay.
This 4-part parlay will bag me plus 854. So I decided to throw down 250 bones on it. Which would then turn me back $2,135.
And it would put you in the black.
It would put me at $98 to the positive.
And the sad part is it could fucking happen. It could
Yep.
totally fucking happen.
Yep. They gave me pretty good odds on that.
Wow.
So I decided to put a lot of money on it. And I think I will once again. And then all it'll be City to win, City to win, City to win, City to win.
Just to make sure you survive.
Absolutely. And I will, like I did last year, be far behind with only 6 games to go. And I'll still end up on top.
Well, that's all right.
It's a tried and true system, my friend. Dare I say, 100% of the time, it works 100% of the time because we've only done this for 1 season prior to now. So I have a 100% success rate with this system.
All right, well, let's check in on our degenerate.
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
Well, that didn't go well. So pushing on 1 bet and winning 1 is probably as unlucky as you'll get. So let's just try 1 game this week. And what I think is an easy one. Usually I take the weekend primetime game but I need a win. So I'm going to take Manchester City over Chelsea, giving a half a goal. So all I got to do is win by 1 at -145. I'll bet 145 to win 100. That's about as easy as it gets. I hope. Jesus, I picked some bad games last week. Talk to you next week, boys. You know, he had a rager in his pants, man. He was just like, games, cut bet. No! He just bet all the games.
So can I just put my arm around Pat for a second?
Sure, go right ahead.
I found out it was not illegal to bet horse racing on your on the internet in Maryland.
Right.
And I put $100 in when I found the day after I found this out. Put $100 in that I believe it was Saturday morning. $12 I put down on some race in England. Won $202.
Nice.
Cashed out $110 and proceeded to spend back $184 over the rest of the weekend and not win shit. Just because I could.
Wasn't the Belmont this weekend?
It was. Lost
And
a lot of
you-
money on that, too.
Okay, so you did bet. Okay, good. I'm like, why are you betting English games when the Belmont's going on?
I bet a race in Qatar. I bet races in Australia when I couldn't sleep at 2:30 in the morning. I bet it was bad. I should not have access to this app, and neither should Pat.
That rager was poking you in the face, wasn't it? Going, bet.
Yeah,
You've
you can do it.
already spent Tegan's college fund. Can we not spend the fetus's college fund?
Well, no, hold on. I won $202 on my
Okay.
first $12. I cashed out $110 on the $100 I put in. I'm still up $10.
All right, we'll put that $10.
I was playing with house money.
Put that
Right.
$10 in fetus's college fund.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry to
No
interrupt.
problem. Let's go ahead to me.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
So I'm currently down $367, which is a lot less than 2,097. Unfortunately for me, Craig Dawson hits an overhead kick, which is not supposed to fucking happen, or else I would have hit my fucking bet and I would have been halfway to in the black again, which is something I've already done this season, unlike you. It is sad that we talk about our successes and the fact that one of us has been in the black for 1 week.
That's so bad.
So this week, I'm actually doing a parlay as well. I'm gonna pick a couple of gold scorers in the midweek. I'm gonna take Raul Jimenez to score against Bournemouth and Sadio Mane to score against Palace, and for them to score at any time will net me plus 324, getting me closer to the black.
There you go. Mine are anytime goal scorers also. I don't
Yep.
think I mentioned
Yeah.
that.
I assumed that.
Yes.
Now, that was a great segment, but we give you more. Each week, Mel goes into the backyard and visits and has a chat with our fabulous fowl. I give you Kitty the chicken.
Fabulous foul.
Last week she was an adventurous hen, and now it's a fabulous
foul.
So we did have someone send in a technique of hypnotizing, massaging, doing something to the chicken to get them to do what they want.
It was Smokey.
That was it.
It was Smokey.
Yeah, I don't
Gingerbread.
need to do that. I just bribe Kitty with food because she's very food oriented. That being said,
She's a fat chicken.
she really is. Kitty was not happy to be back at 500, but she knows she'll get it right this week. So I gave her Spurs hosting West Ham. Now, Kitty quickly pulled out a photo of her, which it was odd. It was a Polaroid. It was not on her iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's the hipster thing to do. And Kitty, you know, she keeps up with the trends.
Right.
Now the kids are posting photos of their Polaroids because that's what they do. Anyway, she pulled out the Polaroid, and it was her and Steve Nash and Adam Richman at a restaurant holding up a shirt saying, "I survived the Colossal Burger."
Adam Richmond, Man versus Food. No wonder it was a Polaroid. It was taken at the restaurant after the fat chicken won a food challenge.
Yeah, clearly. So I'm guessing she's going to fancy the Spurs to win in the London Derby.
Excellent.
A London Derby.
Hey, London Derby.
Not the London
He
Derby.
wrote the London.
I meant
That's a dig. That's a subtle dig.
So I just read what's put in front of me.
That's a subtle dig.
And hey, Mel, what should we always do?
Oh, yeah. Gamble. And,
what else, Sam? Because you forgot to do at the start of the show.
Drink responsibly.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, always remember to gamble and drink responsibly.
Clearly, he has something on his
I
mind.
do want
so
to
go right
quickly
ahead.
say something. Mel, can we also remember to, when we write decent copy, get it out before we start giggling? Is that okay? Because fabulous foul, you could already see it.
I held it.
Give me fabulous foul.
What's great is he didn't, he'll come in and pulling behind the curtain, people. I'll be sitting in my office doing something. He'll bust in what's his name? Next door neighbor for
Kramer.
Seinfeld. Kramer on Seinfeld just pops in. I know to mute whatever I'm doing. He's got something or something he thinks is clever, wants to read to me. And it's Monday mornings or
Because it
Sunday
is.
evenings. I know it's the kitty, the chicken bit. But he left out Adventurous Hen the week before and left out Fabulous Foul. Now that is in the rules of 3. We've got 1 and 2. What could he come up with next week? That'll be 3.
Right.
Yeah, give you one more. I'll give you one more.
Anyways, isn't this a slut segment?
Yes, it is. So,
It is.
The mighty FK Sluts unfortunately lost to Newman Grundo to keep with the Seinfeld bit. They lost 1-0. Points of interest in the game is that with 80 minutes left, 2 separate Sluts players got their second yellows a minute apart. So they went from 11 to 10 to 9 like that. And unfortunately, they dominated the pace of the game. It was all them. They had one unfortunate counterattack, led to a goal, and then the ref really kind of fucked them over. Now, something that I'm a little interested in is after we've done our interview with Vitaly Trubilia, who was absolutely delightful last week.
He was. Great bloke.
I noticed on YouTube, there were at least a half a dozen overhead views of the stadium. And I'm wondering if old government was listening because I said, talking about the size of the grounds, that maybe they were showing it off. That or one of their cameramen had just gotten a new drone and was playing with it. Now, the other interesting point to bring up as well. We got a picture of Vitaly with fish.
Mute myself. I was just saying Vitaly, after our interview, was going fishing. And so I was showing Graham a shot of him holding up his fish.
At dinner for 2-3 days there.
Yeah,
at least.
nicely done. So the other interesting thing is that one of the Neiman Grundo players was being, celebrated before the match. Now you have to remember, there's no commentators, there's nothing on YouTube. It's just the games are playing.
Yeah.
So you hear the announcer, and of course he's speaking in Russian. You're not going to understand what he's saying. But the player is receiving a watch, and I'm assuming it's for like Player of the Week or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is receiving it from 2 sex bees.
Sex bees?
I'm sorry.
Sex bees.
That was a question mark at
So
the end of my...
that's...
It is 2 females dressed in leotards with like black leotards with black stockings, and then they have bright yellow garters around their waist that goes down to their stockings, and yellow bee heads on their head. I'm wondering if like it's the maybe the mascot for the watch company because it's clearly a watch he's getting. But before the game, there are in fact sex bees.
Strange.
It's the little things I noticed. The
Was it-
out of tune trumpet player, or a pair of sex bees handing out watches.
And they weren't at breast.
I was
was it Belarusian Halloween?
one of the other the match the week before, they had cheerleaders.
All right.
I just doing like normal cheerleading routine. I was like, oh, it's probably like the local like school, like high school equivalent of a high school.
Whatever, yeah.
No, it was grown women. Grown women.
You know what else is
Midriffs,
funny?
knee socks. Like,
All right.
Clearly.
Apparently, that's a popular Belarusian fantasy.
And then pictures from there's a Belarus FK Sluts group that's based out of Baltimore. It's a bunch of Liverpool guys, but they've been watching the matches.
Sluts,
And they put
I know
up shots.
Sean's part of it. The head of the Liverpool group in Baltimore.
So they put up a bunch of pictures of like just guys in the stands, like one guy with his shirt completely off, another guy with his shirt wide open, just big old beer belly sitting in the sun.
Just chilling. Yeah.
I gotta check those out. That sounds hysterical.
That's fantastic. Sex bees, huh?
Sex bees.
Sex bees.
I don't want to call them sexy bees. I want to call them sex bees.
All right. Quick thing producer Mel produced today is a little bit of news surrounding FC Sluts.
Oh, I was like, I didn't produce jack shit. What did I do today?
The chairman of the Minsk Oblast Executive Committee, Churchin, agreed with the government on the issue of financial support for Grondoya and FK Slutsk. A decision was made to financially help these two clubs. The social significance of these clubs is huge. Chairman of that committee, I'm not going to say it again, Alexander Churchin, agreed with the government on the issue of financial support for Grondoya and Slutsk, which represent the central region in the major league of the Championship of Belarus. The head of the main department of sports and tourism of the committee, Yevgeny Boloychik, said that Churchin personally decided to look into the functioning of the clubs after he learned about the difficult financial situation of the direct sponsors of the team. The Grondoyski and Slutsky, which is now a new funny word,
Slutsky.
Sugar Factory.
Very good.
They're sponsored by a sugar factory, receiving watches at Sex Bees. There's
From
nothing better.
There's
From
the
next
connection.
season, fuck the EPL. Next season, this is the Drunkard United Belarusian football show, and this is all we're doing is covering the Grondoyan Slutsky Sugar Factory, which sponsors Sex Bees and watches and our beloved FK Slutsk.
I just want you to know the
We're shirtless
interview
fans.
with Vitaly has gotten 6 downloads in Belarus and Russia, and they've been going back and listening because Adventurous Hen had 4 downloads from Belarus.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Sweet.
we may be
Excellent. Well,
picking
thank you,
up
guys.
some Belarusian fans, so please send us in some questions.
That's awesome.
Would love
Yeah.
to hear from you.
Thank
And
you
to-
guys.
And
That's
tell
fantastic.
us more about the clubs. If somebody
And the
happens
sex
to be,
bees.
if somebody
Tell
happens
us
to be a
about the
Slutsk,
sex bees.
somebody happens to be a Slutsk fan, we want to know about the badge. We want to know about the history of the club and all that good stuff. We like,
It's just drunk people.
right?
And honestly, as this pertains to England, this is the government helping out clubs in financial difficulty.
Yep.
We've talked briefly about this in League One and League Two and how some of these clubs are going to operate, especially if no fans come back.
Right.
So now there is some sort of European precedent for helping out clubs in the lower divisions with government money or other teams' money. So just to bring it back to a serious note, it's nice to see this happen. This should happen. No club should have to fold because of this. I believe that no business should have to close because of this.
It's good. It helps supports the city. It brings pride to the city. It's very important.
Absolutely. It's incredibly culturally important, and it's good to see a government give a fuck about its people.
Yeah. Well, and
After... No, I won't get into it.
I'd argue that the DU football show is also culturally important. And Graham, if they want to support us, how can
That's
they do that?
www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow. Tons of extras. You get the full experience with Sam and myself. Also get to hear Sound Check, which I didn't mention earlier, as well as our Injury Time podcast, which is our preview of the upcoming week of the Premier League, where Melissa doesn't have a mute button and Sam and I are both fucked.
And Sam and Mel both talk about all the craft beers they drink on there. 'Cause
True.
We always talk
Yeah.
about the alcohol on this show, but talk about the craft beers on the next show.
Yeah, we do have side beers throughout this show and all shows, and we do get them a mensch, and we talk about them a bit and what we thought.
Mine is Ice House because I'm trash. I'm also almost out of Ice House. I need more. So Sam, parting words. Make it quick.
Yeah, real quick. Just I want everybody to know what Marcus Rashford did over the last 10 days. Basically, the UK had decided that they were not going to extend the summer meal program through schools for low-income families that was going on during the COVID crisis. This happened in a lot of major cities that have poor populations. Happened in Baltimore. We had the option of going and getting free meals from the school for tea. We didn't, obviously. We left those meals for people that truly needed them. But the option was there. Marcus Rashford came out before the fame and fortune of Manchester United, came out and told a very heart-wrenching story of being poor and needing those meals. And didn't matter whether or not the school had the funding or what it was, that the government needed to step up and make it happen. Attach that just general human decency point, like I said, to a very personal story of himself. And Boris Johnson himself mentioned Marcus Rashford when he said that, wow, that really does mean something. We're going to go ahead and reverse our decision. He completely changed the UK government's stance on continuing the funding for that program. And while, yes, it affects a lot of people of all races and genders, as we've seen over the last few weeks, systemically, black people are taken advantage of a tremendous amount and do not hold as much wealth as...
Oh, no. Wait, Sam. He should shut up and just score goals.
Yeah. Black people do not have the same opportunity that a lot of other races have because of their skin color in the system that we all live in. And he brought light to the fact that that is fucking ridiculous, but it is the case, and we need to help out where we can at the moment. And the government happened to agree with him this time. Maybe it was a PR move. Don't care. It got done. And good on him. And more athletes like Colin Kaepernick, like Marcus Rashford, more athletes need to use their platform for issues that are important, because sports, as pure as it is in terms of competition, is riddled with corruption for money, is riddled with issues, but can be a tremendous avenue for change. I have never met personally a racist athlete because you share locker rooms, you're up close and personal, you work hard together, you see what people of different backgrounds, different cultures are about, right? You see the content of their character, as Martin Luther King said. There is no fear anymore. You're brethren now. You're on the same team. You're soldiers in arms, you know? And I personally believe that sports is one of the biggest avenues for change that can possibly exist. And more athletes should speak up. Shut up and dribble, that one cunt said on the news about LeBron James. Shut up and score goals is a common trope.
Oh, no. Wait. But the white quarterback said something about the flag, and she said he should be allowed to voice an opinion.
Correct. So
good old Laura Ingraham.
So fuck all that shit.
Cunt with a hard T, she is.
Yeah.
With a hard T.
Hard C, hard T.
Yeah.
Fuck all that shit. Athletes are citizens of whatever country they're from. They live and work in possibly other countries, but these issues, these political issues affect their lives, and they're just as entitled as any motherfucker is to sit on Facebook and voice their motherfucking opinion. Yeah?
You're allowed to sit on Facebook and run your mouth. They're allowed to fucking
They're allowed
do
to
it too.
use their platform. Just because you're mad that you have 6 followers on Instagram and only 6 people that are like-minded hear you out. Fuck you. Who cares? You're small potatoes. You're small-minded. You're small potatoes. You're a piece of shit. And I hugely hate you.
People should stop thinking that these programs that are being used are because every black person lives like an episode of The Wire. It is not a father that works on the street corner selling drugs and a mom that's a basehead. It's fucking 2 parents that work 2 jobs, minimum wage paying jobs, and barely can pay the fucking bills. And guess what? Those free meals is a little bit of fucking help. And they're able to do a little bit more for their family because of that. There's nothing to stop fucking overthinking it, people. It's really not that big of a deal. It's pennies on the dollar for us for taxes to pay just a little bit extra for a kid to be able to have a hot fucking meal. You don't want a kid to have a fucking hot meal. It's just terrible.
Overthink. Start fucking thinking.
Yeah.
Because you're just being a cunt. You're just being a cunt. Start thinking. Start thinking about other people. Overthink about other people. And don't be a fucking cunt.
DBAC, baby. Next up is injury time. More of the same.
That felt good.
We do a little preview of the weekend's games, including the FA Cup this weekend as well. And Sam, how can you check that out again?
www.patreon.com/DUfootballshow.
I mean, only Alex Jones does a better plug than you, sir. Too bad
He's
he's
a
show
fucking crazy cunt. Yeah.
All right, everybody, till next week.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smell the Malort. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.